All right, we're live and kind of got to thinking to ourselves, you know what? You probably haven't gotten enough of us yet. So why don't we just move our schedule up a day so you don't have to wait as long? So here we are, Larry Mastropieri, broker, owner of the Mastropieri Group, alongside myself, John Laws, as we discuss all of the interesting events going on with real estate related news in South Florida. And tonight, it turns out, Larry, that Boca Raton isn't the only place in South Florida that's dealing with a new city hall. Turns out Fort Lauderdale is doing the same thing. And there are a lot of proposals, which if you've seen the thumbnail or read anything about this, you know that there are 6 very distinct, different proposal layouts for what this new downtown city hall project will look like. And it wasn't just one of those where they decided like, hey, it's time for a new city hall. No. Nature kind of forced that one on us, as the devastating flood back in 2023 forced the old city hall to shut down. So Fort Lauderdale now faces a once-in-a-generation opportunity. Larry, you've seen the models. I don't know how keen your eye is for business architecture, but what has stood out to you so far when you've had an opportunity to look at this story and some of these proposals?
There's just so many different options here. So it's just like, and they're all pretty cool, right? So
Yeah.
To your point, like, I think you need to spend a bunch of time really thinking through functionality and design in order to make this decision. Plus, some of these are very extravagant and some are more cost effective, probably solutions. Obviously, from my perspective, I'm looking at these and I'm like, ooh, that one's cool. But that's like, right, that maybe doesn't take into account how much it's actually going to cost to build these things.
Like the one that sort of looks like a part of the female anatomy when I saw it. And yeah, there are some that look very different, and you kind of hit the nail right on the head. A few others that are much more basic, but it's like, it's South Florida. I mean, if it was Miami, they would go with the least basic one there is. But now Fort Lauderdale is a little different. They're kind of the happy medium, if you will, But when I think of Las Olas and how much construction and change there is down there, maybe, I don't know, maybe they kind of let loose a little bit. And don't tell me you didn't know exactly the one I was referring to.
I had no clue.
Okay, well, then never mind. Mine's just always in the gutter. I can't help myself.
You're just a sick person, John. You're just sick.
All right. Well, glad that joke landed well.
The one that seems the most interesting to me is number 1. I mean, it just looks pretty epic, right?
Yeah.
Just this design, which is Fort Lauderdale.
Looks most Fort Lauderdale to me, that one.
Yeah. It seems like a cool use of the space, a cool looking building. And for anyone who doesn't know, this building was flooded. The current building was flooded in 2023 due to one of the storms that rolled through. And so it was shut down. And basically Fort Lauderdale relocated all their offices to other places, and so now they're looking for solutions.
Right. It's like, how do we get all this bureaucracy back under one roof? No.
Yeah. One place of pain instead of just spread out through the city. Yeah. So what happened was one of the developers submitted an unsolicited proposal, and because of the rules and et cetera, the city had to go ahead and open this up to other developers to get bids and see what their proposals were. I think it was Meridian Infrastructure of North America that was the ones that also built the Port Miami Tunnel and many other things, were the ones that kind of unsolicited just sent in their proposal saying, hey, you guys got to do something with this. We're here. We're ready. Take a look at this option. Right. Yeah. So it looks like,
do we have a list in order here? I mean, are there photos for all of these? Like, I hadn't even seen that second one, the aerial view.
This one. Yeah. So this is the Fort Lauderdale Civic Partners, which is Meridian Infrastructure North America. This was the unsolicited proposal. And they gave actually 3 options, right? So they gave like, hey, this is the super cool option if you want to get real crazy. And then a second, like in between, and then a baseline option, which is like the 12-story tower with 340,000 square feet, featuring wellness centers, childcare facilities, public art gallery, a flexible community space as well. which is what you're looking at here on the screen now, from what I understand. And then the optimized plan, which is 10 stories with fewer extras, but all the
no public art gallery. I mean,
yeah. And then the baseline plan, which is 7 stories, which is just focusing purely on just the government functions, right? And the use of that space. But 340,000 square feet. Keep that in mind as we talk through this. That's a pretty big number relative to some of the others that were submitted. And so I don't know what guidelines they were given in this, but they're all kind of a little bit all over the map when it comes to that. So the developers had till August 5th to submit their proposals, right? And so now we have all of them because it's been about a month or so since they submitted.
So here's my question. Do you think for a company like Meridian or any of these other large architectural groups, do you think they're like sitting on great plans that they just will submit anytime they hear, a major cities wants change to their downtown infrastructure, city hall, and they're just like, here, like they've got them waiting, like to present it to each one and hoping it catches on?
I think they have teams because as a engineer in my previous life,
right,
and working for some big companies, a little different than these big developers, but they have teams of people that are sourcing project opportunities because they got to keep doing stuff, right? They're submitting proposals. They have a proposal team, a design team that's like working on a whole ton of different projects, probably all over the country, if not all over the world, right? And they're submitting proposals and winning some and losing some, right? All the time. And then there's probably people that run point that know either city officials or have exposure or experience in certain parts of the country or cities that will kind of run that specific proposal and try to like get to know people to sway them to make decisions to work with this company, right? So there's like a sales element to this as much as there is like, hey, let's like propose something, right? Yeah, for sure. Okay. It's like who right? And so there's sales teams, and that's right. What we used to do when I was an engineer, but for different stuff, right? So yeah, we would build those relationships to try to facilitate the win, right? But let's keep moving here. So then you have FTL Beacon Collaborative.
Yeah.
How many?
I thought that looked a little dated. Like,
if
we were trying to be trendy like 40 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Less cool, maybe cheaper, but less cool.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I hope it has some, advantage to it versus the others.
They're saying
something to the table.
It's a 229-foot glass tower aligned with horizontal sunshades. What I wanted to comment on the previous plan was, as you can tell, or as you could see, there's no like parking proposal that you can see from outside. And what they're saying here on this first one was,
you gotta have parking.
All 3 rely on parking in the adjacent garage. And they've even floated the idea of turning the Northeast 1st Street into a pedestrian plaza. If chosen, construction would start in 2026, completion by 2029. Yep. And what makes Meridian a little different is their promise of long-term operational support. They don't want to just build it. They also want to run the facility, which is interesting. And so that's what they're saying is a little different here. Now, again, like I haven't seen like parking in any of these really. So I don't know if that's like a differentiator or not. It seems like they're all proposing to use the land for primarily just mixed use and not parking. But this is a 229-foot tower. I don't know what the other one is, but also primarily made of glass, they're saying. Everything but these beams, it looks like. Yeah, to your point, this kind of looks cool from above.
Yeah, all right. Maybe it's just the imaging from that angle anyway.
One of the comments they made in theirs, FTL Beacon, was, we're going to elevate the ground floor.
From the
why
flooding.
Are they talking about that?
Yeah.
Because of the floods. Yeah. So that's interesting. But this is what the front looks like.
I love how the descriptions of it, their design screams Miami flair. I'm like, really? I'm like, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like, it doesn't look like, okay. Unlike other proposals, the design places integrated parking at the rear of the building, helping to reduce demand on the existing parking garage. Okay. So that's a different.
And I'll bet that quietly makes a big impact.
I think
when they're deciding. Yeah. I mean, it's like, gosh, it's always the problem is parking.
100%. 100%. All right. Balfour, Betty. How do you say that?
Betty? Balfour, Beatty.
Beatty. Yeah.
Like
so I don't know this developer, but here's what their proposal is. I mean, this is a pretty substantial.
This looks, I mean, and that was the other one that I felt like looked a little more like South Florida, Miami, Fort Lauderdale.
This is concept 1. And they've also proposed concept 2 and concept 3. I'm not sure. Okay. So here we go. A civic only building, mid-rise, glass-clad structure with government offices, commission chambers, and community meeting space. Number 2, a mixed-use tower that layers in private offices, retail, and event space. The revenue could offset taxpayer costs. A larger civic district that redevelops the neighboring parking garage into a multi-use hub, complete with housing, offices, and civic facilities. Big project.
Yeah.
So,
you know what I can't help but wonder now in the age of AI and seeing all the renderings it can do on the fly, like when people are submitting, when their companies are submitting some of these proposals, they're like, oh, so it's just one concept. Like, no, we'll send you another one in a minute, and they throw it into like ChatGPT or Google Bay or something, and it just spits out 2 others. And because all they need to see is a rendering, and then they can just throw out a bunch of details later.
100%.
I just wish I knew more about the behind the scenes of that.
Yeah, you want 4 renderings, 5 renderings? 10
renderings?
Yeah.
I mean, put it right out. And I mean, to the credit of the Chat GPTs and whoever else in the world right now, they do a pretty good job.
Yeah.
I mean, if I didn't know any better, I'd be like, oh yeah, they had this in the can all along.
Totally. So let's see what Industry 1 Development Committee is proposing. It's a hyperlocal contender. Their office is just 600 feet from the site, and their pitch is all about community ties and fiscal discipline. I would play that up too if I was them. Mm-hmm. Yeah. They want to consolidate all city departments into one central hub. Their design includes integrated workspaces, commission chambers, and public gathering areas meant to strengthen civic connection. They're pushing an economically mindful approach, promising the city one time on budget delivery.
That looks like the budget-friendly one. If I didn't know any differently,
totally. Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, and again, they're not throwing out how much square feet and all that stuff in some of these communications, but it looks so it's hard to compare. But all these companies are like they have reps in South Florida. They have exposure. Right. Yeah. Let's Cypress West. All right. Yeah. Cypress West is taking a very different route. Instead of building one massive tower downtown, they're proposing dual campus sites or dual campus systems. Downtown with a leaner 100,000 square foot city hall for public facing functions like commission chambers and civic services. And then a West Cypress site. The existing Kaplan building would be repurposed for back office operations. So put all the back office people in the old building.
Yeah, I that's an interesting take. I don't understand the advantage to that.
Yeah. I think part of it might be delivery time. They're saying they can finish in 2028, whereas some of these other guys are saying that too. One guy's saying he could do a ribbon cutting. FTL Beacon Collaborative thinks they can do it by mid 2027. Pretty aggressive timeline.
Yeah. And I'm sure you've dealt with that a lot. How often they say they're going to deliver on that. You get the deal. They haven't had it finished. Well, it's like, well, you can't pull out now. They know that. So I'm just always skeptical with timelines when it comes to this.
Yeah. Here's my thing about this. FTL City Hall Partners, besides the comment you made earlier.
I mean, come on. Now you can't unsee it. I know you know.
No. Yeah. Okay. Besides that, though, this is like a little, like when we're trying to sell houses, we want to appeal to the masses. Right. This is kind of like a like pretty extreme version, right?
Is that the Brightline station, by the way, that right at the front of it?
I
guess
so.
Is the point. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe it is. Because if you just like, again, I think this is the old building being demolished for anybody's who cares. And that's commercial. And then this is where it is, right? So where the heck is the Brightline? It's over here somewhere. Oh, that's our office.
Now I was going to say that's pretty close to our virtual office because I remember seeing the Brightline.
Yeah, our office is right next door.
Yeah.
So which is actually great. And the Brightline's right by here. Where the heck? Oh, here, right? So anyway, this is where it's at specifically, which is like right in downtown. And so what I was doing earlier was I was playing around with just like what's for sale in this like little like half-mile sector, just for anybody. We're talking real estate, so you can see you can get a condo for $260,000 in the area. That's the cheapest thing. Most of these buildings, by the way, in the surrounding area are 2005, 2007. Most of this stuff is condos. You're not really seeing anything else, much else in this like half-mile radius. But things go for as much as, $10 million. There's stuff in the million range, but you could pick up a condo or something in this like 500, 400, 600, 700 range, which I thought was just a good thing to share.
Yeah, that's interesting.
With the group here. So kind of an industrial look right down the street, walking distance, kind of cool, unique building. So that's the Avenue Lofts, which is neat. But back to this, we digress. So this is the last proposal here, right? And this is the prestige pitch, they call it. $260 million is the proposed price tag for this. It's a 10-story Class A office building designed to consolidate every city department under one roof. 196,000 square feet of space. So compare that to the first one we talked about. It's still only 2/3 of the first one, which is kind of interesting. So it seems like you don't need 300 square feet of space to serve what Fort Lauderdale needs, but it would be good use of space to build something epic on that property and then find a way to use it, right? Whether it's leasing it out as an office building or what, right?
Yeah. I'd be interested how they'll decide on this, if they're going to have like a score sheet to break it down by, functionality, style, something, parking, you know what I mean? Like,
look at the side view. I mean, this thing is pretty
Which
epic.
I'll say it's different. To all of them. I mean, that definitely is the most unique as far as.
It is pretty epic.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't say I didn't like it. It's just what stood out to me.
Yeah. 4-story garage next door.
Right. Which I think is going to be a huge factor.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'd imagine that the people who make this decision, I certainly would hope, are accounting for, needing parking and stuff like that. Whereas, me, I make the silly assumption that it's going to be, oh yeah, they wouldn't leave that out.
Yeah.
Oh, crap. They left it out.
Yeah, exactly. So that's interesting. And again, all of these guys have serious experience in the area, as you would expect.
Well, it's a great opportunity. I mean, we've talked so much about how, especially over the past 5-6 years, however long, just that the Tri-County area has grown so much, to have an opportunity to kind of put your stamp on, one of the most important buildings right there in the heart of downtown Fort Lauderdale. I could see how that would be prestigious on many levels. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Let's talk about topic 2.
I was going to say, especially since we're going to talk a little more about Fort Lauderdale and its transformation over the past few years. I'm sure if you're old enough to remember, once upon a time, that Fort Lauderdale was much more recognized for being a ideal spring break destination for college kids and such. it's where the kids often came to party. I mean, up until recently, I feel like they've really tried hard to sort of stave them off, much to the dismay of a lot of the local businesses, but that's a whole different story. Yes, once upon a time, it was referred to as the spring break capital of the world. But today, the city is rewriting its story with luxury skyscrapers, global finance firms, Michelin-starred restaurants, and a booming cultural scene. Developers, investors, and even celebrity chefs are betting big on Fort Lauderdale, as shown right there with some of these city hall projects. And now when you look at the economic growth, I just saw an article from, I believe, WLRN, that their economic footprint in Florida has grown by 44% since 2019. So Fort Lauderdale, it is growing. There is a lot of stuff happening here. Larry, what has stood out to you the most when you think about Fort Lauderdale and its contributions to the greater South Florida community?
I saw the same article and I thought the same thing. I was like, that is substantial.
That's a lot.
Substantial. It makes sense to me. We've worked with a number of clients who like relocate to the area, and there's this draw to Fort Lauderdale for its proximity to Miami, yet not being in Miami, its proximity to multiple international airports. Its culture is different from Miami, different from West Palm. So there's like this middle ground. Its density of employers, right? And just businesses, big businesses, national and international businesses. So that's, and I think that's just scaled dramatically over the years, as like the article that we're referring to is mentioned. It's kind of like both West Palm gets headlines, Miami gets headlines. Fort Lauderdale, for some reason, feels like it doesn't get as many headlines for whatever reason. And so quietly, Fort Lauderdale has been just evolving, growing, and becoming a monster in every aspect of the community down here.
I mean, my God, the Florida Panthers have won the Stanley Cup 2 years in a row. Now, granted, the arena's on, the westernmost side of the area, but I digress. It is still certainly an accomplishment.
So we got real sports teams in Fort Lauderdale, or at least one real sports team now.
Right.
And a year after year has been crushing it. Fort Lauderdale being the yachting capital of the world, arguably, right?
Yeah. No, that's the label. You can't take that away from them.
Yeah, you could argue that for sure. And then Port Everglades being one of the busiest cruise ports in the world. And so you have just like this mix of like a trifecta, or they were calling it the Golden Triangle, right?
Right.
So it's like the airport, the shipping port or the cruise port, and downtown, the downtown hub, right? Which is just creating huge economic impact in our area.
Well, and what stood out to me, earlier this year when I was getting some drone shots kind of on the north side of downtown was, it was all that construction going on, and not just, random buildings. I mean, very, very tall skyscrapers that stood out that you're like, wow, I had no idea this much activity was going on here. To your point, it has been under the radar through all this in a lot of ways. And I'm not sure why, but it just is.
And I still think there's like certain areas in Fort Lauderdale's downtown market that is still kind of undervalued on some level, right? Long term, it's undervalued, in my opinion, without question. There's certain like neighborhoods that haven't got the same value kick from like new construction that like we've seen in Del Rey or Boca Raton in their downtowns. Like if you compare some of these new construction homes that are selling for like 3 or 4 in downtown Fort Lauderdale area, or the East Fort Lauderdale area, and then to Boca or Del Rey, you'll see that like Fort Lauderdale's like the value play on some level, which is kind of interesting.
Is it guilt by association almost, like, because I feel like Broward kind of is like looked down upon to a certain extent versus I could be totally wrong. I'm just saying that's just what it feels like. Some people versus Miami-Dade and Palm Beach County.
Some people love Broward and then other people like don't love it. Like when we're talking to them about like, would you live here? Why don't you live here? Why do you live in Palm Beach County? Why do you live in Dade? And some people don't love it. I think it's for when you're talking about Palm Beach County versus Broward, it's like way more dense and there's just a lot more of everything happening. And so if you don't want that or value that or like it, you don't want to be there.
Way more happening in which one?
Like in Broward. Okay. Like it's just more dense. There's just more, there's just more of everything. There's more employers. Like if you go down the list of like employers in like South Palm Beach County versus Broward, Broward and especially Dade, it's like, it just seems like there's a lot more going on there. And you can see it. There's high rises. Fort Lauderdale is a bigger city than West Palm. Like that's what it is.
Oh yeah. Right? I mean, we may not have the same conversation 20 years from now and say that, but yeah.
100%. And
absolutely.
So one of the differences I think that you experience in Broward versus Palm Beach County is Broward is a little older with new stuff popping up in between all the older stuff. Mm-hmm. And then there's a very diverse culture there. And then Palm Beach County is a little newer, still has some old stuff, but feels a little newer and with less old stuff kind of scattered through. So people who relocate from out of the area and are experiencing or used to experiencing like this homogenous feel, Palm Beach County sometimes gives you a little bit more of that versus Broward. Sometimes everybody that relocates to this area, especially when they're looking for like a new construction home for like $5 million, they're like, I'm buying this $5 million home. And then like 2 houses down, there's this like, $1.5 million dump, right?
Right.
They can't appreciate that. They're not used to that. They're used to like clean, homogenous looking neighborhoods with all the same whatever. And South Florida in general just has a mix of that. And I think Palm Beach County has a little less of that, and Broward has a little bit more of that. And then because it's a city, this is what you get. You get it's an older, more developed city. And so I think that's the dichotomy there.
That makes sense. I mean, just right. Not everybody, planned communities weren't always around.
Yeah, especially in the East, which is why you see like planned communities out West, but you don't see them in the East because they're just way older. There used to be farmland in the West, and now they're huge GL communities.
Right. Well, yeah, that was my immediate thought.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So we want to go back to Boca Raton now and talk about their campus.
Back to Boca.
All right, we're going back to Boca. You may know about the Boca Raton Innovation Campus right there off Humano. It's a very distinct, setup where they call it brick, I guess. It was where the IBM, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it was IBM invented the personal computer there in the early 80s. So it certainly has some history to it. We've done videos on that. I always think about that octagon shape in the middle, or is it hexagon? How many sides we got to this thing? I just didn't want to be a liar.
6.
Oh, right? 6. I'm sorry. A hexagon shape right there in the middle of it. Well, when I see it on a map, it's always very distinct. I know what that is right when I see it, even though I can't know the difference between a hexagon and octagon. Anywho, they're doing some real expansion with it. Here's what's coming. 1,200 residential units across luxury condos and market rate apartments. You got a walkable retail village, grocery store, shops, restaurants. And that's not all. 55,000 square foot entertainment facility plus 140 room hotel. So, Larry, my question is, this expansion, how much of that coincides with more businesses being pulled into there? Because if I recall a year or so ago when we were doing the story on this and talking about it, it seemed like, there was a lot more, notable companies coming in here. Is that to accommodate them, or was it coincidence? What's going on there?
So this investor who owns this parcel of land owns this for the development ability, right? And so I think there's always been the plan to take this huge parcel of land. How many acres again? 123 acres. It's a huge parcel of land, and the utilization of it is very like 2-story, like older. Again, this was here when IBM
right. It looks a little dated. I mean,
So,
it stands out, but that doesn't mean I didn't think it was dated at all. It looks like that's exactly what I would picture for innovation in the early 1980s. Like if I was watching a TV movie on the beginning of computers, that's exactly what I would picture it looking like.
yeah, this thing was doing it. This thing was here when the space shuttle went to the moon or whatever. You know what I mean? That's the vintage of this building. And don't get me wrong, they've updated it. It's got cool vibes.
Oh, it's
We've
clean.
been in and out
Yeah, I mean, right.
Yeah.
It's not falling apart or anything. It just looks a little dated.
Yeah. Yeah. So with that being said, and it's huge. It actually is huge. It holds 1.7 million square feet of office space, and it's owned by CP Group along with its partners. I believe, let's correct me if I'm wrong here. I think Terra is involved. Yeah. Developers like Terra and CP Group say this isn't just construction. It's about activating the campus with wellness, art, culture, and community all year round. So Terra has inserted themselves into this somehow. They're a part of this. Sometimes these big firms, they partner up to diversify risk, right? Mm-hmm. And so Terra, for anyone who doesn't know, is super involved with a bunch of different projects, specifically the Boca redevelopment plan for the government campus in downtown, which has been making crazy news because there's been immense resistance to that. But that will likely progress as well. And Terra has reps in South Florida and gets stuff done. So this is, you kind of already mentioned this, but I thought this was just interesting. 1,243 residential units, from luxury condos to market rate apartments, right? Just a lot. And so out of that 1,243 number, 320 units are going to be that luxury condo experience, which is going to be a standalone 8-story building with wellness club, pool deck, and parking for nearly 600 cars. They just have a lot of land here to do a lot of cool stuff. And if they build all this stuff, that office complex will be epic because there's just going to be so much demand. There's going to be restaurants in there. There's going to be like all this stuff. And again, it's 1.7 million square feet of office space. And again, if they build this thing, the rents are going to go from whatever they're at today to, I'm sure, quite high. Right. And the building, again, it's already pretty cool. It's got this cool lake in the middle. It's got a fair amount of businesses in there. It's the innovation campus for Boca Raton. They're pushing the tech thing there. There's a lot going on. There's places where you can rent space to do events and things. We've been there for events and things of that nature. Mm-hmm. Yep.
I didn't realize they had that much land to work with. I go by it somewhat regularly. I just, you're not paying that close attention until you start wanting to put stuff down in there. And it's like, wow.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot more land than I thought.
There's a lot. And did you mention the 7-court pickleball facility?
I buried the lead. That's on me.
Yeah. So that's super interesting. You mentioned the hotel, 140-room hotel, 55,000 square foot entertainment facility.
Which I would wonder what that is. What a 50, like, is that like a concert venue? Like, I'm trying to visualize what is a 55,000 square foot entertainment facility. Is that like one of those
guess
arcade, like gaming places? I don't know.
Yeah. Just like pinball machines everywhere.
Yeah.
I think the answer is it's so like if you have this hotel and you have tech businesses all around, it's kind of like a conference center, hotel or wedding venue center, you name it, but probably more like business focused, like big conference events where you could put 140 people, which actually isn't as many rooms as you might want for a big event like that. But again, you probably do that. Somebody could make one of their headquarters here and kind of fly in people from all over the country. And so again, that hotel piece,
conferences, that makes sense.
That hotel piece is efficient, I think, for the combination of that. Yeah. I can see that as a thing. Yeah.
8-story luxury condo. Wow. It's funny because we've talked so much about all these projects going up around the notable cities in Palm Beach County. And yet I feel like it's the first one that doesn't have Live Local involved in it in some capacity, like I feel like every story I see lately, somehow it's like, oh yeah, they start tomorrow because they're working it through the Live Local Act. So
yeah, I think so in this case, it's not that one, it's not needed because they got so much dirt. And two, this is like what I also think is it's kind of not, it's outside of that downtown bubble to a degree. And so I think they're getting less push back on this, and it's close to the highway for anyone who doesn't know where it is. So like the egress means, and it's in between two major exits on 95, Spanish River and Yamato. So you got this, like, I think they're gonna like, they're gonna get this knocked out. Like they're not gonna have too much pain from the city. I think the city will appreciate this too. I would appreciate
the city's a little distracted by what's going on with the government campus. It was all part of the plan. They're just going to try to, sneak that in there while everybody's holding up green signs saying, save Boca, save Boca. But yeah, you can do what you want.
Maybe that's the plan, man. Maybe that was the plan. For the same developer. So,
right.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's move on to 1789 Capital's $1 billion South Florida play as we get Donald Trump Jr., Frisbee Group, and the next wave in Palm Beach County / Boca Raton. So evidently, there's $1 billion real estate war chest about to hit Palm Beach and Boca, and it's backed by none other than Donald Trump Jr. So 1789 Capital, we are focused on this real estate fund on South Florida development. That's quite a war chest. What's going on with this?
Well, I just want to point out again, Frisbee Group
is the other side of Terra.
Is the other partner with Terra in the Boca Raton campus redevelopment project, government campus redevelopment project. So again, you just see the same names kind of pop up, and these are all huge players. Donald Trump Jr. as an example, right? And 1.3 billion funneled into South Florida. Again, this is like, it's like nonstop with this stuff, right? Forget, and if you just forget the big guys for a second, like just the little guys, and by little I mean the guy that has $50 million is running around here, and there's plenty of those guys. I think I've said this a number of times. People fly from out of the area to come down here and buy something, and they kind of come to me and they're like, hey, it's going to be cash. Like, we should be able to get a deal. It's going to be cash. I'm like, everybody's kind of cash here, right? When you're playing this like $2 to $10 million game, like everybody's kind of cash, man. So it's like, and so like, that's just the example on the lower end of things, but on the higher end of things, like the Donald Trump Jr. stuff, it's like there's plenty of guys playing with $1 billion running around here too. Stephen Ross.
Yeah, Jeff I was going to say, right?
Like, and you could just go to Ken Griffin, like in Miami. You could just go down the list of these guys that are just like making crazy purchases, crazy development plays. And this here, right? Like, John, like, you're always like, is it over? Like, are they slowing down? And then you like see a headline like this.
I'm like, it can't be that bad.
Yeah, they're not slowing down. They're still coming. They're still doing this. They're doing this right now. This is happening today, right? This is a new article. So it's like all the guys that we've been talking about that have been doing this, they're probably not slowing down, and these other guys are coming in still. So there's clear belief that South Florida is becoming this massive economic hub, and these big players want to be in it.
Which again, what fascinates me about the whole thing, as you've talked about many times, is the scarcity of land. And yet I keep seeing all of these stories about all of these projects. And I'm just like, well, clearly it's not slowing anybody down, because where there's a will, there's a way, and it's constantly happening.
It's just nonstop here. So we'll see what this turns into. This is kind of like Ross, Steve Ross, with Related Group saying, I'm stepping down from Related Group to run Related Ross, which
this is my retirement project.
Florida. Yeah, which is focused on South Florida. It's kind of like this symbolic gesture to kind of promote the fact that the investment is focused here. And so from my perspective, like,
I'm sure.
right. It's like, show me what you're going to do. But because well, anyway, we could go on and on about this, but like, long story short, that's a symbolic move. This feels like this is more of a symbolic thing too. Although the fund is focused on South Florida, and they have probably fund documents that are like, if I invest my 10 million, because they're probably raising 10, 100, 20, $200 million in a clip, right? And if I invest my 10 million to $200 million in this, we are going to deploy capital in this specific area. So as much as this is focused on just this is why they kind of rename their fund proposals, because they're drawing capital or investment to this market through investors that want to be in this market, right? And so when these guys invest $1 billion, it's like they probably have 10 to 20 investors, right? That to raise that kind of capital. So they got 10 to 20 guys with 50 to 100 million or more that are giving them money that want to be in South Florida specifically. That's what they want. Otherwise, they wouldn't do it. They'd go invest in a different fund, right?
And, you know, I can't help but wonder now, just in the last few days, seeing Larry Ellison now topping the charts as the world's richest man. And I'm like, oh, that's the guy who like basically runs Manalapan now, right? Is that, I'm like, okay. So
you know what I didn't know until recently? Yeah. So that guy's like another billionaire, big deal. And there's so many of them, but I saw that. I didn't know Larry Ellison. He also invested $1 billion in Twitter
when the Elon's takeover. I didn't know that either. I saw that as well.
Yeah. So anyway, long story short, these guys are all in cahoots with each other, helping each other out. So yeah. Oh, okay. Speaking of related Ross.
I know. Let's talk about related Ross. Hey, they're in a court battle. I'm sure that's nothing new when you get to that point. And related Ross is engaged in a legal battle with Fort Partners over a condominium complex in West Palm Beach. If you're familiar with it, the Harbor Towers and Marina condominium on South Flagler Drive, it's become the center of a fierce developer showdown. On the one side, we got related Ross, the powerhouse behind so many of these recent West Palm Beach projects. On the other is Fort Partners. They're a Miami-based firm best known for Four Seasons residences. Now, both are racing to buy out owners at record prices, but under new condo rules, lawsuits, and infighting among the residents, it's turned this one into one of the most dramatic real estate battles in South Florida right now. So, Larry, do you have your popcorn ready?
Yeah, this is just another example of the crazy flow of massive amounts of money into South Florida.
Well, it's like, and you have to buy out these owners if you want to do anything along there.
100%. So Harbor Towers, which we're looking at here on the map right now, Harbor Towers and Marina is a 40-year-old 61-unit waterfront complex on South Flagler Drive, right? Pretty good real estate, right?
I was going to say right across the street, that's where you get into the I would say this equivalent of Billionaire's Bunker.
Yeah. I mean,
on this side of South Florida, if you will.
Yeah. Palm Beach Island right across the way.
Yeah.
And I mean, what's really cool, I have some negatives about buildings that are really close to bridges, but one thing I'll say about this is like these water views in West Palm, if you're on the Intercoastal,
it's nice.
It's epic. Nice. I mean, these water views are huge. This is the Intercoastal.
Yeah.
And like, so for example, look at how big this is. So if you're looking for big water views on the Intercoastal,
it is different when you get to there.
It's different. Like, cause like, look, just like, we'll just go all the way down here. But like, as you get to like,
it gets narrow, right?
Very different. Yeah. There's benefits and negatives to this. I think if you're not living on the Intercoastal, it's a huge benefit because the bridges are smaller and you can cross if you live like right here, and you can just walk across, et cetera, which is why Boca and Del Rey are kind of interesting for that reason. But when you're up here and you're on the Intercoastal, it's awesome. It's awesome. It's huge, right? And there's I was gonna say that's Peanut Island. It's not Peanut Island. Where's Peanut Island? It's over here somewhere. Yeah. Anyway. But one of the things I was going to comment on is sometimes, like you see this drawbridge right here, drawbridges in anywhere, I'm guessing, but in South Florida specifically, they're not like there's concrete, but there's some metal that you go over, and so when the tires hit that metal, they make noise, right? And so
you can potentially hear it from your nice luxury condo.
So like just a better example is like if we go south, this is just for anybody who cares about thinking about buying real estate. Like this huge house right here, I'm just making up a random example here. This house here, you probably can hear this like all day, right? And so it's like, that's insane to pay whatever crazy number that this house is going for, right? To be right next to that. And so not knocking their project by any means. And you may not hear it from where this is, but if I was going to go buy something in here and I was getting serious about it, I'd go stand right here and see if I can hear that freaking bridge. You know what I mean? And see if I can.
I mean, I would have never thought of that.
100%.
I think you should sell real estate for a living, Larry.
Maybe I should.
The future.
Yeah. So anyway, so that's some news there for you. But let's so let's see. It sits on land every developer wants. Obviously, in early 2025, Fort Partners began buying units after acquiring 2 adjacent apartment buildings for $20 million, signaling a wider Flagler Drive play. Related Ross entered the chat, matching and sometimes topping offers. Owners started fielding life-changing numbers. Then the rules all changed. So there was a trigger here. In April 2025, the condo board, now controlled by Fort Partners employees, because they had so many condos that they owned, they switched control, and this is a thing, right? So like these guys wouldn't have entered this. Fort Partners wouldn't have entered this if they didn't entirely understand the docs first. And so they're like, them and their attorneys are like, okay, we get 20 of these units, bingo. Like, right. Like we can then do crazy stuff that will make it unappealing for the rest of the owners to continue to live here / own it. And they'll have to sell to us or something like that. Right.
Yeah.
So Fort Partners employees amended the documents to give the association a right of first refusal. Okay. So that's easy. That's not the end of the world. Somebody shows up, somebody wants to sell one of their condos. Basically, they almost have to sell it to Fort Partners. Okay. Because the association is now controlled by Fort Partners. And so Fort Partners gets the right to buy it. And actually, we've had this happen. This is crazy. I had a client that was not happy about this at all. We represented the buyer. We ended up finding him something else, but he was very unhappy about this. We became aware that there was a right of first refusal in place on one of these buildings that he was buying into. We got under contract. We went through all the documents. We did our inspection. We were ready to do this deal. And as we're reviewing these documents during the diligence period, bingo, these guys show up and they're just like, hey, we're going to buy this thing. And so the owner is like, hey, I have no choice here. This is the rules. I have to sell this thing to them. And so we're like,
common? Is that very common when it comes to these condo HOA rules or whatever?
No, but this one was in Boynton Beach. And I don't know where they stand now, if they own most of the building or what. They owned a ton of units. They owned like 100+ units in there because it was a bigger building. And so we sold it, and then we're like, well, we let it go. We had to let it go. That was the rules. And they refunded us for inspection stuff. But my buyer came in town, found a unit he liked, left town.
Wasted time. I get.
Thought he was done, and now he's coming back to town to do this, right? So it's like to find the next one. It sucked. It sucked. I learned the hard way. That's like a thing now. We ask, right?
And here's my question. The people that get right of first refusal, do you think they're not even notified until a sale's about to go down and they have the option of coming in and swooping in at the last minute?
Some people, like, you're notified, but like, does anybody really look at their docs or their, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they do what they're supposed to do, which is notify them in the proper manner. But then it's like, who knows, right? So, So yeah. So let's see what happened after that. Related cried foul, calling it an illegal maneuver to block its purchases. Fort said it's enforcing a valid right. The result, a barrage of lawsuits, not just developers versus developers, but against individual owners who signed with the rival, which is just bananas. So yeah, let's see here. So what transpired from there? So some owners said yes to the eye-popping contracts up to 5 times market value in at least one case. only to get pulled into litigation when the association tried to exercise the right of first refusal when the other developer challenged the deal. Others sought time to relocate elderly residents, negotiating perks like delayed closing. It's high finance meets real human lives, right?
And what sucks so much about that, we've talked so much about how with the older condo buildings, with the escalating insurance and HOA fees and building surveys, all these costs that have like made the market, horrible. You got somebody coming up to you with 5 times market value, and then you get cut down at the last minute. Well, oh my God. Or am I misunderstanding this?
They have to honor the purchase price. So whatever it is, they get the right to a first refusal. So like somebody pays you $1 million for something that's worth $100,000.
Right.
If that association wants to buy that, they have to pay the $1 million in theory.
Because I was like, man, that's cold.
Yeah. Yeah. No. They have to pay the number. And so that's why I think that. And so for these sellers, man, it's like, who cares? Take my condo. I don't care who wants it. You want it. Which developer? I don't care. Like, let's just go. I'm sure other people have different opinions. I'm a little less emotional about these things. I don't care if your money's
and I can understand when it's your home, naturally it's an emotional decision.
Yeah. And as we have been talking about, this isn't happening in a vacuum whatsoever, right? Related Ross is already reshaping Flagler Drive with one Flagler. They've opened South Flagler House and Shorecrest that are planned. They got office towers all over the place. So these guys are all playing a bigger game here. And Fort Partners, meanwhile, is the Four Seasons powerhouse pushing luxury plays up and down the coast. So whoever wins Harbor Towers influences the future skyline of West Palm Beach, South Flagler corridor. To me, it's just I don't even understand this. Like, it sounds like, I mean, I guess there's some litigation right here, but my reaction is it doesn't sound like these guys are going to partner to do this deal.
Well, I'm just wondering, Related Ross, we know what their end game is. They want to tear it down. They want to build something nice in its place. That has been their MO for a while now. My question is, what is the motivation of Fort Partners? Just to get leverage so they can sell it, for a higher price to Related? Like, what do they want to do with it?
I think they're gonna develop it because they've been acquiring adjacent lots. Okay. Their project probably gets more interesting. So just like more facts about this, I'm reading here. So Fort Partners owns about 20 units. So what is that? A third, right? So there's like 61 units in the building. So they probably crossed that third threshold, and the condo docs probably allowed them to vote, and they probably had other people vote in favor of it as well. I don't know how they play. So there's probably a little bit of like nuance here from a litigation perspective, but because they didn't have 50% or they didn't have 75%, because a lot of times it's like once you have 50 or 75%,
I figured it'd be a majority.
Right. Yeah. 51% like sounds more normal. So maybe there's something else going on here and why Related Ross is suing. But it says Related Ross, which is buying units through a similarly named LLC called Harbor Towers Acquisitions, owns 5 units and has told owners it is in no rush to take over the 61 unit complex. So because they're all playing the long game here. Like, these guys aren't worried about this whatsoever. Right. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, so to the surprise of no one, if you weren't aware already, Palm Beach tops Florida's richest suburb. I'm shocked. List of richest suburbs, I should say. I guess maybe to people who aren't necessarily from the state, they would assume that Miami's the wealth capital of Florida, but no. Palm Beach topped the list with a $356,000 average household income. And the prices they very commonly sell for yacht level prices, because they may have a yacht in there already. This is according to gobankingrates.com. I believe that was their website, gobankingrates.com. But anyway, Palm Beach has claimed the top spot as Florida's list of wealthiest suburbs. Nationally, Palm Beach ranks 13th. So that's pretty good. It's a pretty good spot on the chart. Again, with the average income over 356,000 and home values surpassing 10 million. Obviously, the numbers speak for themselves. Still, the classification has stirred debate because Palm Beach's identity is far more complex than just being, I love this, being a suburb of Miami. That's a drive. That's a drive. If we're going to call
Not
Palm
really
Beach
a suburb, right?
Yeah, I was going to say that is a heck of a stretch. It's like a 100-mile stretch.
I guess if you're a billionaire and you chop her in, it's kind of quick.
Oh, right. That's true.
Yeah.
I'll just yacht my way down there. I get that. I just love how they want to take credit for it. Right.
Check. This is wild. So average household income in Palm Beach Island is 356,000. Typical home value, 10.2 million.
I honestly thought it'd be more than that.
Yeah. Right. I agree. Well, I think there's some of these other, right, there's the others on the list with in average income or average household income of 600K, 421K in the US, which is kind of wild, right? So, yeah.
It's a very exclusive community. I mean, just over 9,000 people in Palm Beach, technically.
There's 2,200 single family homes, but also over 5,000 condos and 900 co-ops units.
Yeah. So, I mean, I was kind of laughing, when I was crunching some numbers today for that video, I was looking up, median sales prices in August for the bigger cities in Palm Beach County. You're going to find this hard to believe, Larry, but Palm Beach topped that list. In August, the median sales price of a home in Palm Beach was $2.9 million.
Wow.
The median.
Yeah, which means the average.
And it was a condo. It was a condo.
Yeah.
It was a nice condo. They were way out in front. They were the only one that. No, I take that back. Juno Beach was actually in seven figures as well.
Juno's getting up there. Juno
was just under 1.5. I was kind of surprised.
We have a client coming into town, and we're looking at Palm Beach Island and Juno, believe it or not, and Boca and Del Rey. So just for people from out of the area, these are these are wealthy individuals, and they're trying to understand Jupiter, Juno, Palm Beach Island, Del Rey, Boca.
Well, when I see all these celebrities that live in Jupiter, a lot of retired sports figures or current golfers, that sort of thing. I mean, Jupiter was surprisingly a little farther down the list. Now, bear in mind, it was still 649,000.
That's big, actually.
Sales price. Yeah, I mean, it was still a lot. But it's like when I see all these big numbers all the time, suddenly I'm just kind of like, well, that's all right.
Yeah.
Okay. So, anywho, little factoid there for you. We want to talk about the $62.5 million loan secured for the Berkeley in Palm Beach.
Yeah, let's talk about that, and then we'll wrap up.
Do it. All right. So, as mentioned, you've probably figured it out by now, big money flowing into downtown West Palm Beach. This is the latest, a $62.5 million loan, clearing the way for one of the city's most anticipated luxury towers, which is saying something. It is called the Berkeley Palm Beach, and it is developed by Al Adelson, the same visionary behind the Bristol, which is also one of Palm Beach's most iconic towers. The loan is 62.5 from New York-based JVP Management. Larry, they just keep going up, and that looks very nice.
It looks very
nice. That does look very nice. I hadn't seen the picture.
Yeah. I mean, it's cool. I mean, they're blending now. We're seeing this more often too, where the rooftop is kind of the focal point of the main amenities, and I think that's the right move. Bouncing in and out of all these different newer condo buildings that are in the luxury category.
Yeah.
Keeping the amenities on the roof seems like the right solution for a number of reasons. One, tucking like a pool on the first floor kind of creates this environment where you don't get sun all day, right?
Right. I mean, that's like you're in Florida, the sun, I mean, hot or not, that's one of the selling points.
Yeah. So I think, and it creates this very cool vibe where you have like cool views from every direction when you're in the building, which is another selling point for sure. And so what we've been seeing is like first floor, like spa amenities, and then and like all the major amenities, and making kind of the first floor kind of like a central point for like people coming and going. So like you get kind of a little bit more of a social environment there, and then the roof as the pool. The architecture and the engineering to do that more complicated, right? Which is why I think historically they weren't doing that. And then the follow up to all that is, which is also more complicated, is in Florida, especially when the water table's like a foot. If you dig a foot, you're gonna hit water, right? It's like,
what do you mean they're not going to do an underground parking garage here?
Well, this is the thing. Most of these now you're seeing underground parking garages about 2 stories worth, right? Because where are you going to put the parking in these buildings now? The density is getting so crazy. So they're building like reverse swimming pools as garages, right? And this hasn't always gone well, just for everybody's knowledge, but I think they're getting better at it. And I think there's complexity around that, by the way. Like long term, I don't know. We'll see how all that stands the test of time. But the parking garage underground, and then the pool and the like outside amenities on the roof seems to be like the new thing, or the right move, driving clients. And we talk with developers all the time about this on different projects they're working on. It's the answer, in my opinion, for sure, especially with limited space.
Yeah, I mean, just you made a great point talking about the intercoastal views, and it is certainly much different as you get farther north into Palm Beach County. It's much wider. It's expansive. With especially like that morning sunrise, it does look really nice. So just imagine you're hanging out at the pool with looking over all of that. So this on the lake side.
So you're going to get in either direction.
Still, I mean, you're going to see it. I mean, it's a nice view, but that's interesting.
Yeah. 25 stories overlooking Clear Lake. So pretty view. Australian isn't the quietest road, but you're in the city. I mean, I don't think you're going to get quiet here really anywhere.
Not anymore.
I mean, you got the train, by the way, right here. And what's wild about West Palm and many of these cities is like downtown and then very different neighborhoods, to say the least, right? And so you're going to get this maybe not so walkable experience. This isn't really like a downtown location. You could quickly get into downtown, right? But you'd have to like for example, this. Yeah,
but railway, where's Nora? Is Nora right by there?
No, Nora is here.
Oh, it's a little farther. Okay.
Yeah. So you're really getting cool views with cool proximity to downtown, quick and easy access for travel to the airport, which is like, right here, and quick and easy access to 95. And it isn't far at all. You just have to go up to Banyan or down to Okeechobee, which Okeechobee's a pretty busy road. So you're probably Ubering. You're probably Ubering because you're not, street running across these tracks probably, right? So maybe one day they build some like thing here, but I don't think so. But this whole corridor is like getting a big push for development.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, but at the north right there, that's the WPTV. We know that's been bought out.
Ross.
The government building, just a little bit east of there from the station, that Doge has taken over that, and who knows what developer it's going to end up with. But I bet it begins with related.
Yeah, and then you have proposals for a huge project here that we haven't really talked much about. I don't have a whole bunch of details, but that's been proposed for a long time, and we'll see where that goes. Kind of like a transit-oriented project, right? So great location. It's going to be a very cool.
I was going to say the devs are thinking ahead on that one.
Yeah. So this will look cool. I guess this is Australian, would be my guess right here. Yeah. And so just like many of these projects, you'll see differences in prices for the units that are like close to the ground level facing Australian, which is going to be a little noisy, versus like obviously penthouse would be a very different price.
Yeah. I can see that.
193 units.
That's a lot.
2 to 5 bedrooms.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Aqua Tectonica signature style with flow through layouts. Floor to
I
ceiling.
love some of these names.
Yeah, it's great, right? It's great. Natural stone, 9 to 11 foot ceilings. This is the standard, right? Most of the units like down here will be 9 foot, and you'll probably get the 11 foot on the penthouse. So there won't be a whole bunch of these, but they'll be 11 foot. So you can expect 9 foot ceilings. That's what we're seeing across the board on this new construction stuff. They got to squeeze in as many units as they can. And so if they were giving everybody 11 feet, they would have substantially less units in the building, which probably wouldn't make this project feasible financially. Yeah. So, and this is a lot of units, 193. That's a pretty big boy project. So, yeah.
All right. And on that note, we're ready to wrap things up. On behalf of Larry Mastropieri, broker, owner of the Mastropieri Group, I'm John Laws of Discover South Florida. I'd like to thank everyone who tuned in this evening, and we will see you on the next one, which will also be on Wednesdays moving forward. So if it's not, we'll surprise you with a different day. But until then, have a great night, and we'll see you guys next time.
See you guys.